Hi, do you and your partner fight about money? I'm Guy Ardito, relationship expert, author, and master coach. And today I want to talk to you about what is actually behind your fights with money and how you can resolve it. Because statistics show that over 70% of divorces are caused by money fights. That's a huge number, over 70%. Now, almost all couples have some disagreements about money. If you're an entrepreneur or your partner is an entrepreneur, then the chances are even greater that there's fights about money, especially if your business is not yet stable. These are situations that always, or in almost all cases, lead to intense conflict and lots of difficulty in the relationship. Well, the problem is that people tend just to get positional, right? In my other videos, I've talked about fighting and how you really have to have a position of we versus me, right? Because you're a couple, you're a partnership. And it's very important to remember, you're not just kind of in love, you're married, you're a partnership. You're legally and financially bound to each other, which means you actually have to collaborate. You have to work in concert. And instead of just getting defensive and saying your position is right and the other person is wrong, you have to understand where they're coming from because their view of the world, their experience can be completely different. Their experience of money, their rationale about money, their triggers about money could very well be very different from yours. So instead of simply getting upset that they're spending too frivolously or they're cheap or any number of different things, right? You want to understand where they're coming from and address that. Because like any other problem, if you just attack the symptoms, it's going to keep coming back and keep coming back. You're not attacking the root cause. You're not resolving the root cause, so you're not actually going to fix it. So what are actually some of the root causes? Well, it really goes back to our psychology, right? And a combination of our internal drives, our needs, as well as any particular, traumatic events that we've had, as well as our triggers, our modeling growing up. Now, as I've talked about in other videos, there are 6 human needs that we all share in different proportions. And those are excitement, security, love, significance, growth, and contribution. Somebody whose primary drive is significance, for example, is going to be driven to make a lot of money and spend a lot of money, right? It's all about show. They want to show that they're kind of number one. And it's no use having a lot of money if other people don't know it. That's really kind of what significance means, right? However, somebody who's very much about security is going to be inclined to spend very little money, at least to spend a whole lot less than they're making. And depending upon a variety of factors, they may be inclined to make a lot or not make a lot. But however much they're making, they're going to want to be spending a whole lot less. Whole drive is from stability, right? Somebody who's all about love is inclined to spend their money on creating loving experiences for themselves and for other people. Might be a lot of gift giving going on there, right? Somebody who is all about excitement is going to be inclined to be the kind of person who's gambling, maybe jumping careers, entrepreneurial spirit, right? Entrepreneurialism is all about excitement because there's no guarantees there. People who are driven by growth are going to be spending lots of money to educate themselves, and it may not lead to anything. And somebody who doesn't understand that may not understand why their partner is always spending lots of money on taking classes or seminars or things like that, right? And finally, somebody who is focused on growth is going to be driven to be putting money towards charities or spending on family members or friends who are in need. And again, someone who doesn't understand this could be driven crazy by this. Now, in all likelihood, you and your partner have a different hierarchy of needs. The closer your hierarchies are, in general, the better you're going to be able to understand each other and get along, although not necessarily. However, guaranteed, the further apart your hierarchies are, the more conflict you're going to have, the less you're going to appreciate where your partner is coming from. So if you want to actually address money issues at their core, get rid of them once and for all, you have to understand your own drives and needs. You have to understand your partner's drives and needs. Once you have that, you then have to work up a budget. Now, most people have great difficulty with budget. They don't like the notion of following a budget. They usually fail when they try to get a budget together. And that's for a few reasons. Number one, it's typically because they don't have a budget that is realistic. They don't have a budget that they can actually follow. And what I mean by that is that regardless of how little or how much you're making and spending, you're not likely to immediately save twice as much or 3 times as much or 4 times as much money as you're currently saving. It might be possible, but chances are it's not. You're not likely to be able to slash your entertainment expenses or your living expenses by tremendous amounts. These are things that you can work towards. For example, getting maybe a smaller house or apartment, or moving to a different area of the town or city you're in, or even a different state, if that's something that's appropriate for you. But those are things that are hard to do, right? They take time. It's not the same as spending less on dinners out or wardrobe or things like that. So you have to pick something that's realistic in terms of what you can stick to, as well as how long it's going to take to ease into it. So you might have a longer range goal in your budget of reducing your entertainment expenses by 50%, maybe even more, but you're going to have to work up to that. Otherwise, it's going to be too much pain, and that pain is going to keep you from sticking to the budget. Right? The other thing is that you both actually have to agree on it. Right? You can't, if one of you is not in agreement, again, you're going to have conflict and it's not going to be followed. Finally, the budget has to be real, right? You actually have to know how much money is coming in on a regular basis, how much money is going out, and where it's going to. So you even know how you can make the appropriate changes, right? Obviously, in this few-minute video, I can't get into a whole course, whole discussion on budgeting. I do that in my Bulletproof Marriage Makeover programs, but here I have a few minutes with you. And there's lots of great resources. Dave Ramsey is one, has a lot of great ideas. There's also Millionaire Mind. There's a ton of them that you can find. And, everybody has their own philosophy. And I'm not here to preach to you or tell you which is the best one. But there are certain principles that hold no matter what approach you take. And those are understanding the psychology that each of you have behind money, right? As well as being able to work up a budget that you both agree on, and one that's grounded in reality, and one that is actually based upon your actual income and expenses. Okay, once you have that, if you're working together as a team, right? You're ostensibly married, or at least in a long-term relationship, you're a team, then you can come together, then you can actually attack the issues, then you can move past it. When you move past it, if the money issues are out of the way, at least in terms of being a big stressor, you stand a much better likelihood of having a relationship that's stable, a relationship that's happy, a relationship that's enjoyable. And that's my goal. That's to help you get there. So I hope you found this video useful. Again, if you'd like to get more information on any of my training programs, just go to GuyArdito.com. That's GUYARDITO.com. If you're interested in my digital programs, my group programs, my coaching, all the information is right there. I do look forward to hearing from you. In the meantime, remember, life is an adventure. Live in love.